The system is broken, and it's dangerous.
Tonight, our I-9 investigative team speaks with a whistleblower.
People are going to get killed. People are going to get raped. People are going to get robbed.
Documents detail decisions to release criminals were made in seconds.
My whole family was scared.
Raising questions about who and why prisoners are released too soon.
Former Iowa Board of Parole member says the state is releasing convicts blindly, making decisions in a matter of seconds in some cases.
She told our I-9 investigative team it could explain some releases we found in our Release Too Soon series concerning parole officers. KCRG TV9's I-9 investigative reporter Ethan Stein is in the studio to explain who this whistleblower is.
This is Kathleen Quaker. She did not want to speak to the media. The retired 35-year magistrate judge and Republican tried to warn lawmakers, the state auditor's office, and the governor's office about numerous problems within the Iowa Board of Parole. Nobody listened, and she says their inaction puts families like the one we're about to introduce you to in danger.
Put a lot of people in fear, just confusion. My whole family was scared, you know.
The fear has not left Annie Thomas.
I had some on my face, my neck, and my hand.
Mario Goodson was convicted of punching her and smashing her head into a mirror before sexually abusing her. He was supposed to be locked up until at least 2039. But last fall, the Department of Corrections recommended him for an early release.
I think I spent the whole night crying because I thought he was really getting out. And I didn't know how that was possible.
The mistake, according to the Iowa Department of Corrections, was due to a records discrepancy, basically a clerical error. But 3 members of Iowa's Board of Parole also approved it.
That is not due diligence. That should never have happened.
Kathleen Quaker used to work on the Iowa Board of Parole. She provided our I-9 team with documents showing members making decisions within seconds. Ultimately, all decisions from the Board of Parole are opinions, basically judgment calls. Board members get documents to help them make informed opinions, like court documents, the risk assessment scores, letters from victims, among the many other different documents they received. Quaker says it's impossible to go through these documents in seconds or even a minute to make an informed opinion on a case, meaning members are making decisions blindly, which can cause mistakes.
It would be, to me, akin to being on a jury where there's 12 people and 11 of them saying, I'm just going to put on headphones, you listen to the case, and then whatever you vote, I'll just copy. It's not supposed to work that way.
Quaker believes former Board of Parole Chair Helen Miller is partially to blame. Calendars show Miller did not review any cases like her predecessors while collecting her $97,000 salary, meaning a higher caseload for the other members.
That really cuts into the time you have to research each case, and that's not a safe situation.
The state also hired alternates to fill in. State data shows the amount of money paid to alternates increased around 70%.
So she took her full salary, but she paid other people to sit in those seats.
Records also show alternates made decisions without a permanent board member, even though Iowa law says all decisions need at least one permanent board member.
We ended up finding over 260.
Documents provided to TV9 show Quaker complained to Human Resources, state lawmakers, Governor Reynolds, the state auditor's office, the attorney general's office, and the ombudsman about the various issues in the state agency. But she could not get anybody in state government to open an investigation.
It was extremely frustrating. I knew we were purposefully now violating the law. I thought it was a mistake when it happened, but trying to cover it up that way was no longer a mistake. Now it was a cover-up, and I felt like we were complicit in it.
Emails show parole officers were reacting to the Iowa Board of Parole's decisions over the past few years. One sharing the Goodson case as another example of how effed up the system is becoming. Another wrote back expressing concern over a shooter at the Iowa City pedestrian mall almost getting parole before the county attorney stepped in, saying it was very concerning for public safety. And another questioned the release of Henry Dinkins for the around 10th time on parole. Dinkins is now charged with kidnapping and killing 10-year-old Breasia Terrell.
They need that bed space because the jails are full of people that have been sentenced that need to come into prison.
Quaker says recommendations from the Department of Corrections are partially based on bed space. She says the board is supposed to assess the effects of an early release on public safety independently, but meeting minutes show parole board members met with the Department of Corrections staff to lower Iowa's overcrowded prisons. The Department of Corrections also handed board members paperwork to consider the cost to the state in deciding whether to release someone on parole.
You can't bring more people in unless you send somebody out.
Factors Annie Thomas says should never matter.
I am doing this for anybody else this could impact and affect, because this can't happen. It can't keep happening.
Quaker is now suing the state. She says she lost her spot on the board when she tried to point out problems. We brought these allegations and documents to the Iowa Department of Corrections, the Iowa Board of Parole, and the governor's office. We did not get an on-camera interview, but we did get a written statement from the Iowa Board of Parole saying it does not comment on pending litigation. The chair also mentioned a new law passed this session. It eliminates alternate members and creates 5 full-time board members. The changes go into effect July 1st. In studio, Ethan Stein, KCRG TV 9 News.
Thank you, Ethan. As always, if you have something you'd like us to investigate, you can call the I-9 tip line. There's the number, 319-399-5928, or email us, newsroom@kcrg.com.